Hey everybody, this is Dr. Lanier, and today I want to bring you a part of the entrepreneur systems. And this is a series of systems that you gotta have if you're gonna build a business. I've watched so many businesses fail. I've been through a lot myself, but some things that I've learned, and I want to start today by talking about your organization. Because really that's what it is. It's about the organization, which is the entity that you form, the entity. So the organization, and you are the brand manager. So we're going to put you here in this box. This is very important. When you're building an organization, it's not about people, it's about boxes, because you're really building one so you can sell it. And you can't sell people, not anymore, they did do that. And they're still doing it in some places, but it's about your systems. And the first thing you have to have, and this is not just for the public. You can, and a lot of people that do form these organizations and these org boards, it's called organizational boards, will just display them so everyone can see them. It's not about that. It's about function, how you're functioning, and your organizational board is the function of your organization. So here in this box is normally the CEO box, and you can put yourself in there if you're the owner, and sometimes you're not the owner, and you could be a CEO. But the owner right now, we're talking about an owner being the CEO, and if so, you're also the brand manager. See, some of you guys might want to write this down. The reason I don't do PDFs right now on some of the stuff is because I want you to write it down. But I'm trying to simplify. See, I'm gonna use mine as the 3M systems, the 3M, or let's say 3M or org board. So the 3M org board is very important in that it's simple. I've seen them with all kind of branches. You got 25, 30 branches coming off of one. But for me, I only want these 1, 2, and 3 reporting to me. And they report up to you, and you have to meet with these people. You're meeting too often with everybody. You can't work on the organization. So really, and there's a saying, at some point, you got to spend more time working on your company than in your company. And this is working on your company. You got to set up your organizational, your entity, how it's going to operate. So you're also here, you're the brand manager. And I also like to consider myself the general. I'm the general. See, and you can have a general in the military. He has all kind of specialists. And the general doesn't have to be the sharpshooter. He doesn't have to fly helicopters. So there's always some specialist that can do more than you can on that. General has a great idea about what he needs, and these people help him execute. But you need specialists. People, and I've heard this, a specialist is someone who knows more and more about less and less. And you need those people, they're sharp. But sometimes they're so focused in, they're like the guys with the glasses in the lab and the lab coat, the PhD, got double PhDs, but they're doing just that. Now here I'm talking about being an entrepreneur. So this is why we call it the entrepreneur systems. Entrepreneur systems, I abbreviate because I don't write too well. But anyway, entrepreneur systems, that's why we're talking about the systems, and the systems are the solution. I want you to remember that. Got that from Michael Gerber. Systems are the solution. So you got to have a system. And for me, just having these people, these 3 report to me. And these are the M's, M, N, and N. This one is money. Money. This one's marketing. And this one is management. So money, marketing, and management, you could do a hell of a lot just having this, but you got to understand that now your responsibility is to work these 3 blocks. And not only the stuff has to flow up from them, stuff has to flow down from you. And this is why your thing here is coming up with this is where the whole mindset operates. And you're the chief mindset, but kind of autocratic ruler. I'm not too big on that democratic kind of thing because, one, you got to know what you're doing here. And from here, if everybody starts to have the discretion of what they can do, you're going to lose out on this thing. And now to understand, and a lot of people once you get this though, once you get money, marketing, and management, please write that down. These three are very important. If you're going to use this entrepreneur system, you got to understand, you got to work at knowing something about money, marketing, and management. And under money, one of the things that kind of prompted me to talk about this now is I'm working with someone that's very close to me and trying to help them because they run themselves in a ditch. And I see how it happens a lot, especially in business. And when you're an entrepreneur, you start making more money, you're growing really fast. And people by and large tend to watch revenues, and revenues mean everything when they're there. And it's like, wow. And when you start hitting that $1 million, and you should hit $1 million fairly quickly. If you're an entrepreneur, you got to set your goal. Next year, if you're not doing $1 million or multi-millions, then you're not really doing the entrepreneur game because maybe you're not playing in the right kind of field. If you can't make $1 million, you're not doing right. But there are people who are making, whose revenues are 20 mil, and they're still in trouble. You know why? Because you can have $20 million in revenue and 19.5 in expenses. So if your revenues are there, so actually the only thing left is you got $500,000, and then a lot of times with taxes and some of the things, and that's another thing that blows us. When you're out there, and a lot of times when you start making money real fast, the first thing that people tend to do is say, well, I'm growing right now, I'm doing all of this, I'm going to pay my taxes later. And the other thing that comes to mind, I remember back, and I know it took me a long time, hopefully you're not, but I would imagine that you're going through the same thing, is that you get your accountant send you a statement of what you're going to owe, and you're like, hold it, I didn't get that much money, I didn't take out but X amount. But you're forgetting that you've grown your assets, and these assets are taxes. You get some depreciation, and you get some. So then, and that's what EBITDA is about, and that's why it's important. What are your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization? Those that's financial terminology. But if you're in, and if I can erase, hopefully you wrote this down because I need to erase. I find that I got to move. I don't like to erase things, but especially on these things, you run out of real estate real fast. So talking about the taxes, though, that's really a whole video in and of itself. But that's the reason a lot of people get in trouble. They don't understand that the taxes are going to come, and if you don't pay them on time, listen, if you have the opportunity to pay in quarterly and not get behind, trust me, do it. Let your accountant, and they're going to tell you every time. The guys who didn't pay, it wasn't because the accountant told you not to pay. You chose to hold on to that money thinking you could do more with it. And sometimes you grow into business. But then you get to the point where you're undercapitalized and you bought more equipment and you're moving along, you're growing real fast revenues, but now your expenses are also growing. And then anything could happen. There's that bumper sticker, shit happens, and now you're off in the ditch. And not only that, the feds are accumulating interest and penalties at the same time. Now you're getting yourself in a real fix. You're off in the ditch. And you're saying, but I'm making a lot of money, and I haven't really spent a lot on myself, just going out and doing a lot of things, but you're putting too much back into the company too fast without enough revenues or having enough space in here. You got to allow for that rainy day, which always comes. So you got to be ready. So don't, you can grow if you can get the capital, but if you can't, you're running, after a while, your money and your months start to meet, and you're just at the end of the month, and you don't have anything, you stumble, you're in trouble, and taxes are the number one thing. So pay the taxes as you go. And there's a lot of things, I think also we trust too much in the CPA for a lot of things, but let me keep moving here because I got a lot. But anyway, failing to pay the quarterly taxes. Another thing that we tend to do is trust too much in the CPA, and a lot of times we're using just tax preparers, and the CPA is just preparing you for taxes, and you're not really on this org board that we have these three squares here. Remember what they are? The 3 M's: money, marketing, and management. I write really bad, guys. But your money, marketing, and management, if you're not watching this and your person that you have in there, and don't just get, someone, your family or whomever, or even someone who's not familiar with your industry. Try to get someone, and you have to pay the money. You got to get someone that knows the industry, and someone knows that you're trying to grow at a certain rate, and you got to talk this over. And ultimately, it comes down to having a CFO. But before that, you can have a controller, and you can have a bookkeeper. And so at first you might start off with just a bookkeeper. Later, you may want to go to a controller, and it's comptroller and controller, same thing. And later, even a CFO. But don't just let your cousin or friend come in, and because they want this position and the name say CFO, well, what about now you gave them something that one day you're going to have to take away anyway because they're not qualified to be CFO. And so why give them that? And then you got to try to take it back. And then when other companies are coming in to look at you and they're asking, well, who are your positions? And you say, this is my CFO. And you find out she's barely a bookkeeper or don't even have that, but you promoted it. That's going to look bad as far as you, because you're supposed to be the chief. If you're the chief and you're the one that's making this decision, why did you make that bad decision? Even the same thing with COO or your marketing director. You got to make sure that they're qualified. You can use a person in that position, but realize you may have to move them out, sometimes move better people as your organization grows. But as I say, these 3 different departments under you is very important. You have to have the structure so that you can put together systems, because that's what we talk about. The systems are the solution. So if you have a system and you're watching, because the thing that a lot of us don't get on time and fail to understand. So I'm kind of concentrating on this money right now is the financial statements. And your financial statements are pretty much like your instrument panel. If you're flying a plane at night over the ocean, you got to have something that's telling you where you are at all times, because it's dark, you can't really see. And the only way you're going to know and keep yourself from falling off of that trap, like I was saying, when your money and your months start to meet at the same time, it doesn't matter that you made $15-20 million. If you're not keeping up with it, you could be spending too much, and now you're in trouble, you're in the ditch, and you're already overextended with this one and that one. How are you going to get out? Now you have a fire sale, so your FS could wind up here. Your financial statement wasn't really read, so it winds up that now it's a fire sale, and you're getting rid of things so that you can stay above water and at least get back to the surface of water. So that is very important. Then I want to talk about these 7 P's. I like 7. 7 is a number, it's a spiritual number. So we with 7, though, the 7 P's, really, I want you to understand this whole thing with the org board, all of these things are about your product. Your product is your business. And for purposes of going to that next level, it's referred to as your platform. And see, by thinking of it this way, you start to develop. You develop your platform. You got to think, and if you haven't seen the movie about McDonald's, the founder, and read the book Behind the Golden Arches, you need to, because this tells you a lot about developing a platform. And your platform is what's worth some money. It's not you that's worth the money. And I was going to say this earlier, but I want to say, see, there's a statement out there, and I'll look it up. See, it says it's about money. It's about money, but it says, I don't know why money comes in. I write it out. But anyway, profits. Profits are better than wages. Profits are better than wages, and you can look it up. Somebody said it. It wasn't me that came up with that, but profits are. And a lot of people start thinking, yeah, I made all of this money last year. I was blown away. Don't get it twisted. Revenues is money, and you can have a lot of revenues, but revenues doesn't equate to profits. You need to grow revenues, but you also have to understand that when someone's buying your company, they're looking to buy profits. They're not looking for wages. They're looking to buy profit. Profit is important. And most people don't look at profit. The only thing they're looking at is revenues. Jerry, I blew it away. I was making X number of millions of dollars, but I'm broke. How the hell are you broke if you were making all of that money? One, they didn't have a system that let them know that you want to have some separation there, as you're growing. You want to at least have some profit left. If your revenues is here and your profits are here, or your expenses. The expenses are here, then what's left is profit. You keep your expenses at a point, whereas your expenses aren't eating up all your money. So, and these things are, okay, I'm getting better at it, just cleaning up a little bit, not very well. But anyway, revenues minus the expenses, that's what's important. Don't let people get it twisted. I know in the dental industry, where I'm working out of, especially when you're small, even valuing your dental practice is, if you're small and you have one office, even two, a lot of times, they'll base it off X percentage of revenues. Whereas you reach a certain point where you're selling a platform and you're getting into the bigger spaces, it's about profit. They want to see how you've grown your revenues, but what you get paid on is X percent. X percent times profit. So, and that's really what EBITDA is all about. I know a lot of people are already familiar with this. What I'm doing is speaking to the people who are not, that doesn't have the financial, because here's the thing, if you didn't get the business and financial education, you got to learn some of these things. You got to study it from someone. Don't just trust, oh, I got this guy that's, he went, an accountant or whatever, and he's giving me all this advice, or a CFO, not CFO, what do you call it? CFP. It's a whole different thing, than understanding for yourself what it is. But anyway, EBITDA is just the earnings. That's what it is. Earnings are before the accountant gets a hold of it. Because and you should know what your earnings are before, because the accountant gets it. And so it's before the accountant puts on the interest, the taxes, the depreciation, the amortization. So actually they're asking, what's the skinny? What's the skinny? What's your profit? What's your earnings? And that's what's important. Understand, it's not revenues are better than wages. But of course, profits are better than wages. High revenues are probably better than wages. However, not always, because your expenses could equal to your revenues, and you're doing all of this money, and you could be underwater, and the guy that's making the wages, and you're paying them handsome wages, and they're doing better than you are. Why? Because you're not running the business, and you're not having business systems. But I'm going to cut it off real quick. I'm going to go to 7 Ps. The first P, it should be about your platform. And the reason I'm going to put that here is because, number one, you got to think in this way. You got to build a platform. And then building the platform and your whole exit strategy to getting paid is this. I don't write very well. Proper planning and preparation. Proper plan. So that's 4. Platform. Proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance. See, when it comes down to it, it is about your performance, because if you're selling, especially, and the reason I'm talking about it, I did a little roadshow, and I have read about that in the book with Reginald Lewis, why should white guys have all the fun? And he talked about the roadshow. He and Michael Milken working together went on this roadshow, and it was something that I had read about, and I decided it's time for me to either sell or sell some equity and to put some money on the side. I've been working a long time. I built something. It's time to take it to the market. And that's what you're doing. You're taking your little piggies to the market. You should fatten them up, but you don't want to keep it forever. You want it when it tops out. And I grew up in a farm, and when the piggies topped out, they call them tops. And they take them like 20 or 30 pigs to the market at a certain size, and you sell them. Now, you don't want to wait until they're old or whatever, because people are buying for anyway, that's about a whole different story. But it relates though. You're having your platform is your piggies. That's your piggies. So you're taking your piggies to the market, but proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance, because when you get before those guys, they're going to have an army that's going to dig through everything. They want to know about your compliance. They want to know everything about your financials, and going back every quarter, the performance, and profits are the thing that you're selling. So your platform, they want to know if your platform can scale. That's why it has to be a system, because systems you can scale. You could build another one. And Gerber talked about that. Can you build 100 of them off this platform that you've designed? You develop something that will operate, and you could do 100 of them. That's when investors want to come in, because they want to put their money in, and they want to reap they plant a seed, which is their money, but they want to reap the harvest in a few years. 3 to 5 years, they're trying to get their money out. If you're going to get involved in this game, you got to understand the game. It's about some numbers. You have to understand that it's about some financial things. So that's just a little bit about the money side. And later I'll talk about marketing and management. But remember, there's 3 M's. It's what I use. And if I start a new company, I do it the same way. In my lifetime, there's only one org board. People come up with all kinds of stuff, and you could use those. But for me, I like to keep it simple. 1, 2, 3, you and me. It's that thing. You've got to keep it really simple. And they're reporting, and I have to be able to analyze those reports. And the only way I can do it, I got to have my numbers coming back from my financial statement. And I have to sit down with someone, and it's even better if you don't have the personnel and you don't want to pay for that, you don't need it full time, then you can hire a CFO part-time, maybe quarterly, to pull everything in and help you make those decisions. Because, as I say, you're sitting here, you're the pilot, you're making the big decisions, and this is your instrument panel, and this is what you're flying by. So you can make those decisions. But if you're not, you just got everything in a shoebox, and there's certain things that are running in the wall. And if you don't want to pay for good people, you're going to wind up in a bad place. Sometimes you got to spend the money, and you'll go to the right place. Hopefully this is something that can help you. Next time I'm going to get into the next M, and we can talk about marketing or management. But these are the 3 M's that goes with these entrepreneur systems that I think you ought to have.